Recently, I got to visit a park called Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. It's an amusement park on a peninsula in Lake Erie. I got to visit here for my 16th birthday in June, and I spent 3 days at the park. Two of them were half days because it rained those days, but the second day, we spent all day there, it was nice and sunny, and we only got to ride most of the coasters that we rode once. We rode three of them twice, but we only got to ride 12 of the coasters, and they're made 12 of the major coasters. We didn't ride any of the smaller coasters, and I consider them to have 17 coasters because I don't count Pipe Scream. But we're gonna get into the top 12 right now. So number 12 for me is Gemini. Gemini is a fun coasters. Not the most exciting ride because it wasn't dueling like it usually does. It was only running the red side, and it basically just does hill turn, hill turn, hill turn. That's a fun drop, and it's right next to the pathway, so you get a great view of it. But it has a weird moment where it slams you really hard into the brake run, into the final brakes, and it's kind of a really abrupt stop right there. But it's really smooth for an aero coaster besides that, and it's a fun ride. Not so it's just taking number 12 for me because there's other rides that are more thrilling here. So number 11 is Magnum XL 200. People will not like this, but I place it here because it has good airtime, but every time I lift up out my seat, I hit my legs against the restraint, and it kind of hurts because of the way the lap bars are. We rode in like the second car in the front row of the second car of the train, and it gives great view of the beach and the water park, and because it has a slower lift hill, you got time to take that in, and goes right along the beach too for part of the ride, and there's cool tunnels and stuff. But overall, because of the way most of the ride I was focused on how much I was banging my legs up against the bar. I just couldn't focus on that and more than the actual ride elements, so that's why I put it at number 11. And on to the next one. We have number 10 is Wicked Twister. We only rode this once, like all the ones so far I've only rode once, and it was fun. Going back and forth through those twists is fun, but it's kind of repetitive. I like the launch though. I don't think I've ridden an impulse coaster by Intamin before, but it's fun, pretty forceful, kind of shaky a little bit. It's right next to the beach, so it's a really nice ride. It's pretty fun. So we're going on to number 9, and Blue Streak. Some people don't like it. Some people really like it. I'm one of those who likes it. I'm not obsessed with it or anything, but it's a fun wooden coaster. It gave some good airtime. It wasn't very rough. My home park is Six Flags Over Georgia, and we have a roller coaster there called Great American Scream Machine. I don't really like Scream Machine that much because it hurts my back because of how much it bumps you everywhere. But this one isn't like that. This one is not that rough. It's a little rickety, but it's like a nice little rickety. But it gives some good airtime. It goes out and back. It's a pretty fun wooden coaster. So I put it at number 9. Going to number 8 spot is Gatekeeper, and Gatekeeper was fun. It's not the most forceful coaster. It's not really intense at all, but it has some fun inversions. My favorite parts are the wing over drop at the which you can see in that picture right there, and the part where it goes in this picture where it goes to the keyhole tower is a great near miss element. But the thing I did not like about this coaster is that towards the end of the ride, the vest restraints start to really lock hard on your chest, and it hurts. It kind of crushes my waist bone a little bit, like your bone right there, and it kind of hurts a little bit towards the end of the ride. Like sitting on the final brake run was miserable, but the ride elements are fun. My favorite inversion is obviously the 0G roll through the keyhole towers, and I also like that wing over drop again. It's fun. it's not very intense. I like being on the outside of the track. I think it's cool. I rode on an outer seat, but it was pretty smooth too. But because it's not the most intense ride, that's why I have it a bit lower. So at number 8. So the next coaster is at number 7 is Rougarou. Rougarou is a pretty great coaster. It's not as rough as people say it was because I've heard a lot of people say it's rough, but it's not that rough. I mean, it is a little shaky, like towards like the corkscrew at the end, or some of those turns at the end can be a bit shaky. But I kept my head forward and I was fine. I didn't bang my head too much at all. I like the logo too, Rougarou. It's a weird name, but I think the track color looks like a spaghetti sauce color to me. Like when like so it was fun. It has some cool twists and turns, and my favorite inversion is the incline loop, which is like a loop that is tilted. And it was pretty fun. We rode it in the front row, so there's nothing in front of you. But I have some other coasters that are in front of it because they're a bit smoother than this one. So number 7 is where Rougarou is. Solid coaster. And number 6, I put Valraven. Now, all these B&Ms I could like easily flop places, but I put Valraven at number 6. I did have it at number 5 for a little bit, but then I put it at number 6 just because I remember it did a similar thing to Gatekeeper with the vest restraints, but not quite as much. With where it kind of push your chest a bit, but not as bad as Gatekeeper. Has a great drop, probably one of the best drops at Cedar Point, to be honest, because we rode it in the front row on the very edge seat, and you have nothing in front of you. You're just like diving down, and the drop is pretty cool. And I also like the 0G roll at the end. It kind of goes through it in slow motion, kind of, and it has another great second drop too. But I like that feeling of weightlessness as you're, going over the first drop, and it's really fun. It's not too intense. I mean, it has some forces. Like I'd say the most forceful part is that turn after the Illiman going up to the mid-course brake run. Kind of pull a little bit of force there, but it is a great ride. It isn't the longest ride, but I have it at number 6. So the next ride is at number 5 is Raptor. Raptor was really good. I did have this at number 6, but because it was more intense than Valraven, and it doesn't have vest restraints, because I prefer the normal over-the-shoulder restraints, to be honest. So this one is not, again, some people say this one was rough. It wasn't very rough. I actually thought it was smoother than Rougarou, and Rougarou wasn't even that rough. But this one has a great 0G roll. I love 0G rolls. And also that double helix at the end can cause you to gray out a little bit. But this is a really good coaster, really whippy, and it has a good roar. And it's a really nice coaster. This was the last coaster I needed to ride. I didn't get to ride this coaster till the 3rd day. But it's a good coaster. Rode it in the front row. All these ones so far I only rode once. The top coasters I've ridden more than once. So here we go. At number 4, I have Maverick. Now some say I should have it at like number 2 or something. People will probably not like this, but I put Maverick at number 4. It has great rapid transitions. Has good airtime. The restraints aren't the best, but I guess they're better than the old restraints. The way they were before, because these are soft padded. The ones before were hard plastic restraints, I think. But has great scenery. Has a great. I like the part where my favorite part is the launch and the part where it goes over the water. The beyond, it has the steepest drop, but because the drop is so small, it feels over really quickly. But you get good whippiness going over it, but because of how it's constantly changing direction all the time through those turns, you're constantly doing like whipping from side to side, and the way the restraints are, the bad thing about it to me is that I keep hitting my neck on the restraints. I did ride this twice. I got to ride this twice, and it kind of hits my neck against the bars, against the over-the-shoulder restraints, and I don't like riding this coaster too much at a time because it would probably give me a neck ache. But besides that, it's a really intense coaster. Really fun, great launch, great drop, and I placed it at number 4. Number 3 for me is Top Thrill Dragster. It's a really intense. I think we didn't get to ride it in the front row, but we only rode it once, and because it literally broke down twice while we were in line, so that's the reliability of this ride for you. And super intense, super intense launch. Like you feel like you go from 0 to 120 in 3.8 seconds, and it feels like that. It feels like it feels like as soon as you launch, you hit that top speed. And because you're so focused on the launch and it's so fast that you don't even really notice how high you are. It's the second tallest coaster on the planet, and it is 420 feet high, but you don't really notice that you're that high because you're going over it so quickly and you're so trying to process the launch that you don't even realize what's going on until you're at the top and dropping. And the drop is really long, but because it spirals on the way down, it's not the most thrilling drop at the park, but it's still really good. And I like how it has lap bars, so you feel very open. And this coaster is right on the midway, so you really get a great view of it, and it's a really good coaster. But because it's only 17 seconds long, it's a really short ride. I only have it at number 3. So number 2 for me is Millennium Force, and this is actually my stepdad who came with me. This was his favorite coaster. We rode this one twice, and the front row ride was a lot better than the back. I think it was somewhere towards the back or something, but the second ride we had on it in the front row was really intense. It was really fun. It's not it's actually kind of intense in the front row. It's not I wouldn't consider it forceless like a lot of people say. I don't think it's overrated, but it was really good. I love the how you get a great view of the water from the top. It gives probably by far the best view out of any coaster at Cedar Point, and it's really intense, really fun. So I gotta get this on now. But Millennium Force is at number 2, and you get hit by flies and stuff when you're on the ride, so that's fun. And number 1, I think people saw this coming, is Steel Vengeance. What not to love about Steel Vengeance? Rode this one twice, and I had the best ride. This was the first coaster I rode, and it was also the last ride I had of the whole trip, which was the third day. And we rode it in the pouring rain. I don't even know how they had it open in the rain, but it was crazy in the rain. You're going like 74 miles an hour, and you're going over these crazy ejector airtime hills. We rode in the back row on that ride, by the way, and you keep getting hit in the face with rain. And it feels like pin needles hitting your face and stuff. It's like you're in an airsoft match or something. But my favorite inversion is by far that 0G stall. As soon you kind of flip and then you go the other way, and it's really cool. Got some snappiness to it. And what I like is it has great airtime like Magnum, like ejector airtime, but it's smooth. And it also has those rapid transitions like Maverick, but because you have lap bars, you don't really hit your neck on anything. So it has a great combination of all the elements, and it has a great drop. It's just crazy in the back seat. It's really long. I rode Twisted Cyclone at Six Flags Over Georgia, which is another RMC coaster, and at my home park. But this is just a crazier version of it. It does so many things, and it's gives great airtime. When they say it has most airtime, I believe it. And that is why it has a great sign, and that is why I have Steel Vengeance. That's number 1 for Cedar Point. Probably my favorite coaster ever. I'm having trouble deciding between this and Fury 325. I have ridden Fury 325, and this and that are like my 2 favorite coasters of all time. So that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will make a video telling about my experience at Cedar Point and about the trip and stuff. But I'll see you next time. Gotta end this video here. So bye, guys.